Wow, usually I have to bang this for silence. Thank you all for your patience. Good evening. Welcome to the April 9, 2024 meeting of the Passaic County Board of County Commissioners. Let's begin, Lou, with a roll call.
County Commissioners Cruz, Duffy.
Here.
Gallo.
Here.
James. Lepore. Deputy Director Lazare.
Here.
Director Bartlett.
Here. Public Safety Law announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, the notice requirement of the Open Public Meetings Law has been satisfied with respect to this meeting, specifying the time, date, and location, including the annual notice, adopted a reorganization meeting, filed with the county clerk, posted in the administration building, and mailed to 2 newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the law.
Thank you. Please rise for the pledge, followed by an invocation and a moment of silence. Commissioner Lazare, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father Ryan?
It does my heart good that our commissioners have an identity crisis. Dear Lord, I've been told that there are people here in recovery. I've worked with many, many, many hundreds, and they're some of the finest people I've ever met. So this prayer goes for them and for your families. Dear Lord, I ask you to turn my weakness into strength, this suffering into compassion, sorrow into joy, and pain into comfort for others. May I trust in your goodness and hope in your faithfulness, even in the middle of this struggle. Fill me with patience and joy in your presence as I breathe in your healing life. Thank you for keeping me sober another day. I pray for the knowledge of your will for me and the power to carry that out. I pray that you keep me sober again tomorrow. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father. Please remain standing for a moment of silence to remember all the men and women who have died while serving in the United States Armed Forces and all who have died of COVID-19, particularly the 2,299 residents of Passaic County. Can I have a motion for approval of the minutes of March 26, 2024?
Second.
James and Lazare.
County Commissioners Cruz.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
James. Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Abstain. Can I have a motion for approval of proclamations?
Make that motion. Second.
County Commissioners Cruz. Duffy.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
James. Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes, that brings us to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Director. First, we have our quarterly meeting of our Passaic County Health Department, our Assistant Health Officer, Araceli Pintel, and Dr. Salini, who will walk us through our Public Health Accreditation Board process. So, Araceli and Dr. Salini.
All right, so good evening. Nancy has been with us.
Just Araceli, sorry. Can you just make sure you're talking to the mic for the
Sure, I'll
those
get
watching?
closer. I'm short, sorry. So Nancy has been with us since the end of 2023, and she's, really guiding us through this FAP accreditation process, which you will hear of tonight. So I just want to say thank you, Nancy, for your help. So I'll start out with the first slide. I just want to make everyone aware of the upcoming events that are occurring for the county. So we do have a spring hygiene collection that's taking place for the month of April. And this event really was put together by our public health interns who are using this as their main project for their coursework. And we are collecting items of hygiene such as soap, conditioner, shampoo, anything that families, may struggle to obtain due to their economic struggles. So we are working with other departments such as our county administrator's office, Preakness Health Center, Board of Social Services, and Superior Court for this collection. And I just want to say thank you to all of those departments that are assisting us in this goal. The other item that we have is the free mass vaccination clinic that's taking place April 16th in the city of Passaic at the First Methodist Church. This event is an evening event that's taking place from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., where we're going to be vaccinating for COVID-19 and flu. So we're inviting everyone in our community to really come and join us. And we're also working with Catholic Charities, who will be providing gift cards to anyone who received those vaccines. And then the third item is we have free eye screening. I wanted to really emphasize the fact that this month we are having 2 screening dates. In the past, we've only done this once monthly, but we have received an increased amount of attendance for this particular screening. So we reached out to New Jersey Commission of the Blind with this concern, and obviously asking them to please increase our appointments, given that we're having so many people with this need. So for April, we're going to have 2 events taking place April 16th and the 24th from 9 to 12 over at our Totowa office. Appointments are required, so they could call our office at 973-881-4396. And then we have recycling events that are coming up for this weekend. We have the Sharps Collection event, the Household and Hazardous Waste event, and of course the computer and electronics that are going to be next week. So if you need more information, just feel free to call our office and we will provide you with the details. Also, we do have a table in the first floor with these flyers, so if you're interested, feel free to stop by and pick them up. And lastly, we have our health extravaganza events. So these events, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we know that many people have been affected with their health. So we're trying to bring basic screenings to the community, reminding them that it's important to do our annual checkups. So for Women's Health Extravaganza, it's going to take place May 4th on a Saturday. Men's Health Extravaganza on June 8th, also on a Saturday. And again, we're trying to bring whatever we can obtain from our community-based agencies. So we have screenings like clinical breast exams, prostate cancer screenings, eye screenings, hearing screenings, any screenings that we can get from our partnering agencies will be there on that day. So for the extravaganzas, no. Anybody's just welcome to walk in. Welcome. So that's all I have for community events. I will now open up the floor for Nancy so she can give you the FAB overview.
Thank you, Araceli, and good evening to everyone. It's really nice to be here and to be part of a very exciting positive change at the Department of Health Services right here in Passaic County. I'm the FAB coordinator. FAB stands for fabulous, but it also stands for the Public Health Accreditation Board. I like saying fabulous better because that's kind of a boring name. But what you need to know about FAB is that they are the sole national accrediting agency right now. They got a lot of their firepower from CDC and an IOM report that came out back in the early 2000s about the future of public health. So this is not yesterday's news necessarily, but it is very vital as a Department of Public Health and Health Services. And when you just heard the short list of things that this amazing team of people does here in the county every single day, I want you to think of the accreditation process as our ability to put under review our processes, how we can do them better, how we can build better partnerships, stronger partnerships throughout the county, and really unite forces with other people as well throughout the county who are doing vital work to our residents. As I said, FAB's the sole accrediting body. And why are we doing this? Because we are more committed than ever to serve the residents of Passaic County as fully and as vibrantly as we can. And many of you know we do that sometimes through magic tricks by really maximizing what we have to work with. So this is a very exciting process. And on the next slide, if we can go to the next. Hi, Lou, thank you. Yeah, there you are. I've just listed a few of the advantages. Fortunately, FAB's been around since about 2015. They are not new at doing this. There's about 10% of local health departments nationally who are already accredited. There are 8 in New Jersey. There are 42 state health departments, including the New Jersey State Department of Health, that are already accredited. And FAB does a lot of really good review work in gathering vital statistics from those departments that have already been accredited. Chief among just some of the many benefits, the ones who are accredited have reported, improvements in quality, improvements in transparency, and absolutely improvements in accountability. So these are all the things we're working toward. I'm really honored to do this work on the behalf of everyone who lives here, including me. I am a resident of Passaic County, and I thank you all for your support and your work as well. Thank you for this time this evening. I'm always available. Lou has my information. He's got my number. Please contact me and Araceli if you'd like further dialogue or further details. Thank you so much.
And if I just may add, we shared some documents that I'm sure Lou shared with you as well. Feel free to review them. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we will gladly answer to any of those questions.
Great. Actually, one of the parts of your presentation, Araceli, prompted a question for me, and that's the free eye screenings. You talked about how demand has increased. What are we doing, if anything, to advertise those through schools and to parents? I'm aware of
Yes.
it's a profound issue in terms of learning loss, kids with undiagnosed vision problems.
We have heard there are some issues with younger children, and they have been having difficulty with learning, but also behavioral issues as well due to everything that they experienced during the COVID pandemic. Regarding the eye screenings, it's really the New Jersey Commission of the Blind. I know they concentrate a lot more with the adults, but for our clinics, even though it's not printed in our flyer, they do take any children that may come and may need these services as well.
If we can, and if we have the resources, I think we should be pushing this information out to parents, multilingually if we can in the schools, because it's a real issue with learning loss. I've worked with a national organization called Vision to Learn that tries to get optometrists and eyeglass providers into schools specifically.
We do share our flyers with our townships, with the local health departments, with the schools, and the nurses as well. Of course, if we get any phone calls, we take the child in. So that's one way that we're able to do that. I feel that there is a discussion that needs to be had with the New Jersey Commission of the Blind, only because there is that need among our children. And the only reason we haven't posted this in the flyer is because we haven't have the approval to do so. So, yeah.
Any other questions from commissioners?
I just have one question. The accreditation process, what's the timeline on that?
Thank you. Sorry I didn't cover that. I was trying to get the really important stuff out, but this is important. It's a long process to net it out. We are in our 3rd sprint now. We're entering 120 days of progress by laying our initial foundation. We expect to formally register to the FAB in June of this year, and then it will take us roughly 12 to 18 months to complete the submission of what will probably be for the county close to 800 or 900 different documents. We will be keeping you updated, obviously. It's a long process, but we got off to a really great start thanks to Araceli and Dr. Gungil's commitment to this. We are making our way. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. Yeah, I have no further questions.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Araceli and Dr. Cellini and Dr. Gungil. I can't say enough good things about our health department and all the great work you guys are doing in Passaic County. So thank you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you all. Have a nice evening.
So, thank you. Next, Director, we have a recognition of National Alcohol Awareness Month in the County of Passaic, and we're going to have an update by Dr. Kakar, our Human Services Directors, Francine Vince, and a host of other folks.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. I wanted to introduce this wonderful team I'm presenting today. We have Francine Wentz, she's the Deputy for the Human Services
Yep,
Department.
sorry, already, same, but give you just so everyone can hear.
I know, sorry. Is this better? All right. So I have Francine Wentz here, she's the Deputy for the Human Services Department. I have the Division Director for Mental Health and Addiction Services, Bart Cho, and the Program Manager for Office of Recovery, Vito Andrusani. So we are recognizing the April as the Alcohol Awareness Month, and I know that we in the county, I understand that this is really important. Um, in March of 2023, through the support of administration and the county commissioners, we established the Office of Recovery, mainly to provide resources and to create extensive network of providers to to address this issue. The Office of Recovery's mission is to provide the county's residents with seamless support for their health through referrals and comprehensive services, and screen the residents so that we are connecting them to the appropriate services. Also, through our network and education and awareness in the community, we've been able to reach out to a lot of residents through events. And we've also been able to train our providers who work with these residents. So the quality of services that they're providing enhances. And we continue to do so as we get into 2024. In terms of the vision, which is basically to provide education and individualized services, some of the main initiatives we have at the department is prevention and awareness initiatives. For our youth, we have the project graduation, which is for the high school youth. And this is to have a graduation night, which is drug and alcohol free. We also have the 15 municipal alliances for all the 16 municipalities. So we are one of the counties that has all municipalities at the Municipal Alliance coordination. With the Intoxicated Driver Resource Center that we established again last year in January, we provide the DWI offenders with court-ordered detainment, education, screening, and referral services. I do want to point out that our county is one of the 3 in the state that provides the 48-hour services only. So we've been doing that, and again, the wonderful team puts in a lot of work to do that work. We have training and education in the community on mental health first aid, Narcan use, trauma-informed services, and one of the biggest thing when it comes to the field of mental health and addiction is stigma. So the stigma-free initiatives. We talked about that last year when we did the stigma-free uh, uh, declaration for the county. And as we move forward in this year, we have a lot of applications out. So if anybody's interested to apply for stigma-free initiatives, we'll be happy to accept and respond accordingly. So with that, alongside our community-based providers, we have been providing these services and we continue to do so. Thank you.
Any questions, commissioners?
Probably, but I'll wait for our meeting. Because they build up over time. You can use QR codes all you want.
And
How successful are we? And that's a tough question because it's everywhere, right? And there's been a lot of incidents of overdose and things like that, as some of us know better than others. How successful are we? I mean, what's the treatment? Is it working? Is there something else we can do that make it more effective? I'm concerned because we don't seem to be making the kind of progress that we all think we should make because it's tough. It's a tough thing to beat. But you guys are trained in this, correct?
Yes.
So where are we? Like, where are we in this fight against drugs and addiction? Where are we?
So success is difficult to measure when it comes to humans because this is behavioral. One of the biggest things that we've been successful in since last year and starting this initiative is increasing awareness and educating people to take the stigma away, because stigma is the biggest thing that stops people from getting the services they need or continuing the services that they need. So sometimes educating the family helps the person. The service doesn't just have to be for the person who's using the substance. It has to be for the whole family and the community and all the resources that he or she is connected with. I know Vito or Bart, do you want to add something?
Yeah, to answer directly, we are very successful. What we're fighting, unfortunately and fortunately, highlights the negative, doesn't highlight. See, the person that doesn't die, we talk a lot about overdose, and overdose is happening a lot. But we are also stopping a lot of overdoses by efforts such as the Office of Recovery. And those numbers don't shine as much as the deaths. That's really something that needs to be kept in mind. Through the distribution of Narcan and the education of Narcan and who needs to be using Narcan. Most people, they come to our outreach stations and say, well, no, I don't need that. And the line is, well, maybe a friend, and then they come closer. So lives are being saved, something that drug addicts are doing. They're putting Narcans on their belt. So if they do overdose, once the EMT gets there, they understand right away and they know to Narcan them. You just saved a life. And the newspapers don't report that yesterday we found, that it kind of gets reported, but it doesn't get reported as much as, oh, so many lives have been lost.
Drugs that now, not Narcan, but aren't there drugs that help somebody beat the addiction?
Absolutely. Harm reduction, we're a big advocate of that. Suboxone, methadone has been around since the 70s. And part of what we do at Office of Recovery is provide the education to undo the myths that are around certain, for example, methadone eats away at your bones. It's harder to get off of methadone than it is drugs. That is not true. It's even Suboxone. Oh, I'm allergic to Suboxone, can't take it. There's explanations for everything I just said, because what goes on is people are doing it the wrong way. Somebody that's addicted would like any excuse to get a little bit more. So they will go to a methadone clinic and say that they use more than they actually do use so that they can get more drug. So depending on how we look at it, it's extremely successful. And harm reduction, we talk about harm reduction like if it's this new thing. But did anybody ever quit any bad habit with the snap of fingers? No. It's always, we've always said, relapse is part of recovery. So we were always okay with people doing better, two steps forward, one step back. That's harm reduction. Now we finally have understood how human behavior, it's a very fluid behavior. It goes back and forth. It's very easy to become not afflicted, but then something happens. One of my very first clients was somebody that was in recovery for 25 years. He, in a matter of 3 months, was almost where he was 25 years ago when the alcoholism started. So what we deliver, I believe, is very hard to calculate. When that question of success, we are so used to judging success in a very concrete manner. Well, when can a person finally say that I have forever overcome addiction? Unfortunately, that's when the person expires, right? I mean, if you.
Let's hope not.
But no, you're thinking negative. I'm thinking expires because we all do.
Oh.
So that's when you can judge and say, hey, he, you know, he was addicted 50 years ago, and he turned his life around, was successful, and then that's the final total. Because if we go and look at what happens out of rehabs, well, everybody does good, because we only count the people that graduate. What about all the people we lose along the way? So the people that the Office of Recovery is handling is the people that get lost all along the way, because they didn't meet the traditional ways of getting help. So we hold their hand.
You're fascinating.
I
Really
am.
fascinating.
Thank you.
No, you are. It's mind-changing. It really is.
Yeah.
It's attitude
We need
changing,
to
mind-changing.
look at addiction in a different way. Forever, you know, which disease, want to call it a condition, you call it a condition, call it a disease, whatever. But which disease do we have out there that the person is given treatment and then they struggle with their disease, and the first go-to is, well, you're not ready. You know, somebody is diabetic, they're given medication. We see this with the mental health community all the time. Person is doing good, but there's side effects to the medication. Person stops using the medication because now I'm okay, because they want to live a normal life. And then they relapse, right?
And I
What
think-
does the psychiatrist do? What does the psychiatrist do? The psychiatrist says, you know, you got to go back on your meds, and it explains it, and it takes that time out. What have we traditionally done in addiction? Well, you're not ready. Kick the person out, come back and see me in 6 months. Yeah, if they survive. Instead, now we know that, okay, whatever we used didn't work. We need to change strategy. So treatment needs to be individualized, and it's varied, and we need to find whatever works for that individual. What's the best treatment out there? Whatever works for that specific individual.
And what we've done with the Office of Recovery, thanks to the support from last year to now, is reached out to all the municipalities, and we have an outreach calendar. So we are out at the ground with our staff, with the Hope and Van 1 and 2, trying to serve as many people as possible across the county in all the municipalities. So we're taking it to the grassroots level.
And just to harp on that, Commissioner, as you know, we're developing a satellite county office in West Milford, which originally was supposed to be a part of our partnership for health services that we provide in the township. After conversations with Artie about the lack of clinical space for mental and addiction services up county, we added clinical space so that we have a provider up county, you know, increasing access to these services. So the board is doing a lot of proactive things to try and bring the services we have as a board and county to the people.
You guys are amazing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? It was very informative. Thank you.
We do have a proclamation from Commissioner.
Oh, yeah,
Rivera.
sorry.
I guess we're presenting it
That's,
to you,
I
Artie.
think we're going to present this to you, Artie, for appropriate display in whichever office is suitable. But we are recognizing this month with a proclamation for National Alcohol Awareness Month, and I'll let Deputy Director Lazara present that.
This proclamation is in regard to the nationwide campaign that was, thanks, Mark.
It's a tough mic.
That was a tough one, yeah. But, you know, and there's a lot of statistics here about alcohol, the use, the number of people who pass from, you know, from this disease. 29.5 million people ages 12 and older have something called alcohol use disorder. 12 and up. Can you imagine your 12-year-old? Like, it's crazy. But, and I want to just mention that, I guess it was 6 or 7 years ago, Francine, before Artie, you were here. And Francine came to the Health and Human Services to pitch the idea of getting the Hope One van. And it was a lot of discussion. And Artie, you just made it even better by adding another van. So I'm a big fan of the Hope One van. But I'm going to skip down to where it says, whereas Passaic County Department of Human Services in 2023 established an Office of Recovery with the aim of providing services to individuals and families who are struggling with AUD, alcohol use disorder. Our contracted and direct services has served almost 6,000 people just in Passaic County alone. Through the Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services, all the 16 municipalities have participated to create a strong prevention frontline in partnership with municipal alliances. And anyone who has a child in a school district or who is an educator or a staff member in a school district, we all know about the municipal alliances and how the important work that it does to help our kids. It's just amazing the kind of things that every town's municipal alliance does. So whereas Passaic County is also one of the 3 statewide 48-hour intoxicated driver resource centers serving the residents. The Office of Recovery through the IDRC has provided services to 934 Passaic County residents in 2023. That's in 1 year. It is notable that approximately 70% of all clients were referred for an assessment to be directed to appropriate individualized treatment. The program's main goal is to ensure the individuals do not receive their driver's license reinstated until they have successfully completed treatment. This approach has resulted in a rather high success rate with a recidivism rate of approximately only 15%. That's incredible. Those numbers are incredible. And I know, Vito, you've said that it's this continued support of people who are going through the ravages of alcohol and drug abuse and having a support group there for them. So that you guys are our support group, and we appreciate everything you do so much. Thank you. This is for you.
Should we take a picture just to commemorate the month?
What surplus are we talking about? Oh, sorry. Want me to hold one side? Go, too far.
Yes. No, I know. So what's next, Matt?
Director, next we have a public hearing to hear comments regarding the adoption of a plan amendment to the Passaic County Solid Waste Management Plan, specifically Plan Amendment 1-2024, permitting KJ Rensland Excavating, Inc. inclusion as a Class B recycling center. Turn it over to our able clerk.
Purpose of this public hearing is to hear comments regarding the adoption of the plan amendment to the Passaic County Solid Waste Management Plan. Under consideration is a plan amendment 1-2024 permitting K. Resland Excavating Incorporated inclusion as a Class B recycling center. Materials accepted will be limited to concrete, brick, block, asphalt, pavement, millings, as all is noted in the application. It's the same to be included in the plan. The Passaic County Board of County Commissioners, as Matt mentioned, adopted a resolution, called for the public hearing today at 5:45 on the Passaic County Administration Building. The following public hearing was noticed in the Herald News and the Record on March 22nd.
Before we start, Nina, we've got to do a roll call since this is a separate proceeding. Lou, can you do the roll call for this public hearing?
County Commissioners Cruz.
Here.
Duffy.
Here.
Gallo.
Here.
James. Lepore. Deputy Director Lazara. Director Bartlett.
Here, and can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
County Commissioners Cruz.
Here.
Duffy.
Here.
Gallo.
Here.
James. Lepore. Deputy Director Lazara.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Okay, now it's your turn, Nina.
I don't think that's on. I knocked it over.
Good evening, everyone. Yes. My name is Nina Seiden. I'm the Solid Waste and Recycling Programs Manager for Passaic County, a division of the Department of Health Services. Thank you so much for all of you being here this evening. On December 12th, 2023, the Solid Waste Advisory Council of Passaic County held a SWAC meeting in order to consider the application, which is in front of you right now, for Rensland, which is in West Milford. And this evening, we're going to be hearing from George Casino, who is with Casino and Associates, to my right. The applicant himself, I'm not sure if he'll be speaking, but his name is Kurt Rensland. He is on the far end. And to my left is Wayne DeFeo of DeFeo and Associates. He is the environmental consultant for Passaic County, and he'll have a few remarks to make prior to the hearing itself.
Mobile microphone. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity here to present. As Nina said, we had a meeting of the Solid Waste Advisory Council in December of 2023 on this application. It is probably one of the simpler applications we've had come before us for a Class B concrete brick and block, as you've heard, recycling operation in West Milford. The key points I would make is that the Solid Waste Advisory Council had multiple questions which were answered satisfactorily by the applicant. The Solid Waste Advisory Council, as you know, only votes on consistency with the solid waste management plan of a particular county. I would also note that this particular facility, unlike others that have perhaps come before you, is not in an environmental justice community, so none of those issues would be raised. It has been in operation for many years, as Mr. Casino will note. SWAC listened to the presentation that you will be getting this evening and determined unanimously by a 9-0 vote that this applicant is consistent with the solid waste management plan of Passaic County.
I'd like to just take a minute and hand out a short outline of what I'm going to say in case I slaughter it. My name is George Casino. I'm a consulting engineer in North Jersey. And this evening's public hearing is about recycling. About 50 years ago, the state of New Jersey, in their wisdom, passed a law. And it required that communities throughout the state build solid waste and recycling facilities. And one of the kinds of recycling facilities that was encouraged was this kind of a Class B recycling facility for concrete, block, and asphalt pavement. Why do you say? Well, if you remember, in the mid-'70s, everybody's garbage from North Jersey, including Passaic County, was dumped in landfills in the Hackensack Meadowlands. Those landfills were polluting the environment, and there had to be a better way. And that's when New Jersey passed its recycling laws. And those recycling laws have been enforced over the last 50 years. And we are proposing, my client, Kurt Renzlin on my right, is proposing to build a facility that would be in compliance with the recycling goals of New Jersey. It's located in West Milford, New Jersey, and I gave some brief highlights in the handout, but I'll talk quickly about it. It's located, if any of you are familiar with West Milford, on Burnt Meadow Road. I have an aerial photograph which shows the location of the site. We're surrounded on the north by a concrete recycling facility. Actually, they make concrete forms. On the south, by a rigging company. On the east, by a mulching company. And the bottom line is we're an industrial area of West Milford. The responsibility for approving these facilities goes to the state of New Jersey. They retain the engineering and environmental final say, but they will not even review an application until the individual county commissioners have said there's a need in our county for it, that's a good location for it, and the size is good. So after it's included within your plan, that's a step that then takes us down to the DEP. So very quickly, the facility is proposed to handle, again, source-separated concrete, block, brick, and asphalt millings. Right now, Mr. Rendlin operates the facility on his property, but it's for sole source material. What does that mean? He's in a contracting business. So anything he picks up and brings to the site, he has a license to recycle that material. What he would like to do is opening it up to the public, to any community or any contractor within the county of Passaic, and possibly even Bergen County. The material, the size of the facility is about 400 tons per day. That may not mean much to you, but think of it as its equivalent of about 200 cubic yards a day. What does that mean in real life? That means about 20 trucks in with materials and 20 trucks out on a daily basis. It would operate from about 7 o'clock in the morning to 5:30 in the afternoon, and on Saturdays, limited hours from 9 until noon. The trucks would come in, dump their material on the ground. It would then be separated. It's either coming in as concrete type of material or asphalt. They would go in two separate piles. Let me just, hold on one second. Sorry about that. Excuse my back, okay? The entire site is approximately 6 acres in size. But the rear of the site of about 1.35 acres, which is blown up here, is the actual portion of the site where the recycling activities will happen. Trucks will come in from Burnt Meadow Road, meander their way through the existing warehousing facilities of Mr. Renzlin to the rear. Trucks would come up into this area at the southwest portion of the site and dump their materials. Either concrete goes into a pile or asphalt goes into a pile. Then an excavator takes that material, sticks it in a crusher. The material is crushed and then moved with a front-end loader to a screener. That screener separates out the material into different sizes. Some as small as an inch, some a half an inch. What is the material being separated for? Because it's going to be reused at construction sites, public and private, throughout New Jersey to build roads and infrastructure. After the material comes out of the screener, it's stored on site. If you really need a fine material, it's transported to another screener where it's screened into smaller particles. The bottom line is when all of the screening is done and stored, the client sells, Mr. Renzlin sells the material or gives it to various contractors in New Jersey where it's reused to build roads and pavement and the like. So it's the classic example of keeping material from going into landfills or incinerators or trucked out of state, where it's kept in-house, right within the county, right within New Jersey, and put back into use. That's the whole idea of the recycling law, and that's why we're here, to get that included within your plan. And then if you approve, then we have to take that to the DEP for engineering and environmental review. If there's any questions, I want to keep it short tonight because you're good enough to sneak us in, so I'm going to keep my end short. Yes, sir.
Bringing concrete to the site, and it'll be crushed and all, but I'm sorry, thank you. But does the concrete that comes in, what happens if it contains rebarb or I-beams, or things of that nature? How do you crush that?
It gets crushed. The crusher does those things, okay?
An I-beam?
Yeah, well, not an I-beam. No, not going to have an I-beam. Well, Mr. Renson, you want to speak?
Yeah, the crusher has a magnet on it that as it crushes it all, it hits a belt, goes up, there's a magnet that pulls all the steel out.
Okay.
You hear me? I'm your neighbor, by the way. I live not far from there. I'm familiar with that Stone Town Road. There's a clean project you were running. How about the neighbors? Have you talked to them at all? Are they opposition?
I am one of the neighbors. I live right across the street, and I have a neighbor right in front of me. And
You ask yourself questions and then you
Yeah.
answer it? Is that how it is? I know that well.
And I also have a neighbor right in front of me that's just, he's very nice and he has no problem.
Right, I would think I would hear something, but,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I think that's it, thanks.
I have a question. Is there going to be water on site to control the dust from all the crushers? Would you have that
Yes,
provided
I do.
already?
I have water on the site. We have dust control with water.
Okay.
You have to keep all the neighbors happy.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Just ask yourself. Go ahead, just ask yourself.
Really, the operators too. We don't want to live in the environment, breathing that.
I have a question, Director. With the increase in volume and truck traffic, even anticipating trucks coming from Bergen County, was there a traffic study done?
There was no traffic study done. First of all, I don't anticipate. Bergen County just changed their rules effective January 1st of this year, that you have to be included within the Bergen County plan. So that change happened during the review process in Passaic County. So I don't know if Bergen County is going to be interested in, anybody in Bergen County is going to be interested in coming. In any event, whether it's Bergen County or Passaic County, the amount of trucks that come in on a particular basis, it wasn't determined by the county reviewers that a traffic study was necessary, although we predicted what the trucks would be. When you're only having 20 trucks coming in over a 10-hour day, that's, it's 2 trucks an hour. So the amount of impact is de minimis.
Also, it is required that you have truck routes that are submitted, and we did check on those routes. A traffic study would be taking it to another degree. Mr. DeFeo and I did do a review, and we didn't feel the need at this time. If we do feel that going forward, we would certainly ask for one. However, the state is very clear that they have to have at minimum truck routes. So the applicant did comply with that in the application. I also want to just let you know that the application process is very lengthy. We go back and forth, the environmental consultant and myself, reviewing and reaching out to the consultant back and forth with letters, many issues that are raised to ensure that the application is completely clean before it goes before our SWAC, and before then it goes before you, and before it goes down to the DEP.
Okay, thank you. That's all I got.
As far as the county, our application, we're not allowed, we cannot even show up at the state until we are in the county plan. So the answer is nowhere. Okay, assuming the freeholders approve it, I'm sorry, the commissioners, okay? That goes to the commissioner of the DEP, who has to certify your approval. If that certification is given, then we're allowed to submit it for engineering and environmental review. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so just to be clear, this is the hearing. This will come through one of our committees and be before the board for an actual vote at a future meeting. I did have a question, though. To the extent that the work that you're doing, and I don't know which end of the table this question goes to, so I'll defer to you on that. But to the extent that the work that you're doing involves any kind of hazardous materials that might come out of what you're crushing, or get into runoff or into groundwater, how is that regulated, and what, if any, things do we need to be aware of vis-a-vis hazmats?
I guess since I have the title of environmental consultant, I should answer that. Right, okay. The short answer is the Department of Environmental Protection, when or if this gets to their desk, one of the things they will be looking at is a stormwater permit. They will probably do an individual permit for that site, so it will have to be designed to control those elements. That is part of the environmental review at the state level.
Okay, great. And what are the hazardous materials, if you can briefly summarize, involved in asphalt crushing, for
And
example?
I'm sorry, I apologize, I forgot to answer that part. As far as concrete coming in and materials, there would be, the concrete must be pre-tested before it can be recycled. That's part of the new state laws. Well, they're not new anymore, but part of the newer state laws regarding concrete recycling. You cannot take concrete in, crush it, and sell it unless it's been tested for hazardous contents, meaning that it's negative and clean. As far as the asphalt that might be recycled, asphalt primarily contains what we call TPH, or total petroleum hydrocarbons, because it's made from oil. And therefore, their stormwater permit will have to design around controlling that to make sure that anything like that does not leave the property. Typically, you have an what they call an oil water separator. Think of it like your salad mixing. And then it will also, well, it's the simplest way to think of it. And then also there will be booms and controls around the drains. That's typically how a stormwater permit works. I'm not saying that will be specific to this site because that's the departmental's review.
Okay, thank you. So this is a public hearing, which means the next thing I have to say is, does anyone present desire to be heard regarding this plan amendment?
Director, you have the public open? I'll
It
close.
is open to the public.
All right, seeing no one at the podium, no disrespect, I move to close the public portion.
Move it.
Okay. Right, so let's get a roll call on closing the hearing.
County Commissioners Cruz?
Yes.
Duffy?
Yes.
Gallo? James? Lepore? Deputy Director Lazare?
Yes.
Director Bartlett?
Yes, and can I have a motion to adjourn the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
County Commissioners Cruz?
Yes.
Duffy?
Yes.
Gallo? James? Lepore?
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare?
Yes.
Director Bartlett?
Yes, so thank you, gentlemen, and Nina, and you're done.
Thank you.
Director, I have a few other things I just want to highlight before I end my report. On tonight's consent agenda, the board's going to be considering resolutions approving the final trail easements for the Highlands Rail Trail. As you may know, the county's been working to develop a 2-mile greenway in the borough of Wanacue, which would be the newest addition to the Passaic County Park System and our first county park facility in the borough of Wanacue. I want to thank our county council and our county engineer for swiftly moving those forward, and we're hoping to break ground in the spring, so that's a very exciting project. And just an update on our Veterans Housing Project in Pompton Lakes. We did receive approval from the Pompton Lakes Redevelopment Agency. We're in front of the planning board for our final site plan approval in the next week or so, and we're on board to hopefully break ground with that project to develop 65 units of veteran housing in mid-July or so. So that's exciting news. And finally, I just want to say my mom watches all the meetings, and after our last meeting, she sent me a message and said, "Who's that guy that sits to your right, who's always running around organizing everything?" And I said, "Oh, that's our clerk, Lou." So I want to commend our clerk for all the hard work that he does to put these meetings together. So that's it, Director. Thank you.
Matt's mom approved. All right. For those of you following along on the agenda, that brings us to the letter I, and I need a motion to suspend the regular order of business.
Second.
Oh, and a motion to open the public hearing on bond ordinance 2024-06.
Move it.
Do we have to roll call those motions?
Cruz?
Yes.
Duffy?
Yes.
Gallo? James? Lepore?
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare?
Yes.
Director Bartlett?
Yes. Why don't you go ahead and read the title before I ask for comment?
Energy Savings Obligation Refunding Bond Ordinance of the County of Passaic, New Jersey, providing for the acquisition, construction, and installation of energy conservation improvements to certain buildings of the Passaic County Community College, estimated to cost $21,315,000, appropriating $10,500,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $10,500,000 energy savings obligation refunding bonds to provide for the portion of the cost of improvements.
Thank you, Lou. Matt, could you just explain how this works? That's a big cost number, and I want folks to understand.
Yeah, Director, this is the same program that the board had approved for the county's ESIP program. Basically, very short way to explain it is we're monetizing, the community college in this case is monetizing the energy efficiency savings and the lower utility bills to finance the installation of LED lights like we have in this facility, more energy efficient boilers and HVAC systems, solar panels. The county, when we did our ESIP program, we only had limited facilities where solar made sense. The community college has a lot of facilities where solar makes sense. So from those revenues generated and the savings from utility bills, they're able to finance various installation of equipment and the like.
I see. So these are efficiency improvements that lower our costs and in doing so pay for themselves.
Exactly, yes.
All right, terrific. With that, does anyone present desire to be heard on bond ordinance 2024-06?
Seeing no one at the podium, I move to close the public portion.
Second.
County Commissioners Cruz?
Yes.
Duffy? Gallo?
Yes.
James? Lepore?
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare?
Yes.
Director Bartlett?
Yes, can I have a motion to adopt bond ordinance 2024?
Move it.
Second.
County Commissioners Cruz?
Yes.
Duffy?
Yes.
Gallo? James? Lepore?
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare?
Yes.
Director Bartlett?
Yes, can I have a motion to resume the regular order of business?
Make that
Move
motion.
it.
Lazare? Duffy? County Commissioners Cruz?
Yes.
Duffy?
Yes.
Gallo?
Yes.
James? Lepore? Deputy Director Lazare?
Yes.
Director Bartlett?
Yes, that brings us to county commissioner reports. I just want to mention, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, in the window of our office is a big check that Congressman Pasquale provided us yesterday. He and I had an announcement that we're going to be more than doubling our capacity of electric vehicle level 2 charging stations on county facilities. So now at the boathouse in the Great Meadow on Garrett Mountain, at the Vanderhoff House, at the Veterans facility in Pompton Lakes, and several of our county facilities, we're going to have new EV charging stations funded by the federal government through the Housing and Urban Development Community Development Block Grants Program. So that's federal funds that Congressman Pasquale brought in that we're going to be able to use not only to charge our own EV fleet, which is growing each time we acquire new vehicles, but also to for members of the public to charge their electric vehicles when they're coming to county facilities, enjoying our beautiful parks and historic sites. And with that, Eddie?
Yes. I just want to let everyone know that on April 20th, from 9 to 2 p.m. at Passaic County Technical Vocational Schools, the County of Passaic is joining in with Catholic Charities of Paterson, the New Jersey SOS Veterans Stakeholders Group, and the school itself to hold a veteran stand down. And what that is a resource fair for veterans. and our county clerk will be there, our county surrogate, in addition to about 30 other vendors. A big focus of the stand down is to help provide homeless veterans with the wraparound services that will help them move on with their lives. We're going to have medical screenings, we're going to have VA health care, mental health services, housing information, and so much more. It's something that I feel strongly about because we need to give back to those who gave to us. So I just wanted to let you know that it's going to be, again, April 20th from 9 to 2 p.m. at Passaic County Tech, and you're invited to stop in. It's open to everybody. It's not just homeless veterans, but veterans everywhere and their families. And I think it's going to be, it's the first time we're doing one in Passaic County, so I'm hoping it's going to be a great success.
Thanks, Sandy. Your work with veterans has been second to none on this board. Mr. Cruz?
Economic development that have some significant resources to some of our towns here, in particular Woodland Park and the library construction. There's great grant money that's being awarded to them. So I'm just letting my colleagues know to please support those items. They're very good. And on Thursday at 11 a.m. at Hinchliffe Stadium, there will be a ribbon cutting for the Charles Muth Museum, which is highlighting the Negro Leagues and a lot of the civil rights stuff that happened in that time when African Americans weren't allowed to integrate in the major leagues, and they found a home at Hinchliffe Stadium. So after the ribbon cutting and during the ribbon cutting, I encourage everyone to please come down there and really see some of the great exhibits that they have put together there. So thank you.
Great, and I believe the former curator of Dimension, Jessica Bush, is
The curator
the
there.
curator of the new museum at Hinchcliffe.
That's correct.
Great.
Through you, Director, I should have mentioned, I was negligent, that our health department will be there with their mobile unit also, offering COVID and what other, flu shots, right? And you're going to be, and I think we're going to have a mammography machine there, if I'm correct, right? For the female veterans who otherwise wouldn't have access to it. Thanks, Araceli.
You knew my microphone was low. You knew it. I'll have to do a do-over. But I'm happy to hear that the rail trail is finally progressing nicely. By the way, are you aware that there's a very nice watering hole not far from there called the Celtic Knot? So when you have your trail and want to come back for a hamburger, a nice glass iced tea, will be available.
I have to check with Jonathan, but I think that's being demolished as part of this project. Same spot?
As long as the insurance paid up, we're fine with that.
All right. Commissioner Gallo?
I have nothing. Nothing.
Commissioner James? So you have no information. That's novel. Pat?
Yes, thank you, Director. Our committee, Administration and Finance, has put together 25 resolutions for open support from my colleagues, of which of the 25 resolutions, 18 are Chapter 159 items, which gives Rich Cahill a little work to do while he's here. Thank you, Rich. I also want to mention, even though I'm not the chair of the committee, but something that I would like to point out, that there's a resolution number 48 authorizing a traffic signal agreement between the County of Passaic, the Borough of Woodland Park, and the New Jersey Department of Transportation, addressing the jurisdictional responsibilities at the westbound ramp of the Interstate Route 80 and Scrobert Road in the Borough of Woodland Park. Now, if any of you have ever taken that road, you know, especially that rush hour in the evening, you take your life in your hands, stepping out. And I'm glad that the state stepped up and addressed that issue. And hopefully, this light will be the second attempt in the last 15 years to try to mitigate the dangers there. I'm hoping that this light is going to actually take care of the dangers that all drivers and pedestrians face when they enter that roadway. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Line.
Thank you very much. Pat. Seeing no communications, and I know from our county council that there's no late starters or need for executive session. That brings us to letter M in our agenda, and that is the oral portion. You'll have a motion to open the public portion of the meeting.
Second.
County Commissioners Cruz.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
James. Lepore. Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes, does anyone wish to be heard? This is the public portion. You get 3 minutes. Start by introducing yourself with your name and your address. When you come to the podium, there's lights, red, yellow, green. I'll give you more details if anyone actually seems to be moving towards the podium. But
Seeing no one at the podium, I move to close the public portion.
I second that.
County Commissioners Cruz.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
James. Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
yes, that brings us to our consent agenda, N1 through N75, some of which we heard about from my colleagues. Can I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Second.
Oh, sorry. Before I forgot one important step. Does anyone want any item removed from the consent agenda and voted on separately? Seeing Commissioner Gallo shaking his head. Could I have a motion again to adopt N1 through N75?
And I'll move it again.
Second.
County Commissioners Cruz.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
James. Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes, new business. Can I have a motion on personnel?
Move personnel.
Second.
County Commissioners Cruz.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
James. Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes, motion on bills.
Move the bills.
Second.
County Commissioners Cruz.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Gallo. James. Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Second.
County Commissioners Cruz.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
James. Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
On Burnt Orange Road,